Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into Claude 4, which just dropped 2 days ago on May 22nd, 2025. The major release from Anthropic is one of the biggest ones so far, and based on this, I wanted to create this video and this demo showing real-world usage. So let's break down everything you need to know and test these models live in real time. So Claude 4 is finally here with two different models. There is Claude Sonnet 4 and Claude Opus 4. Opus 4 is the powerful large model for complex challenges, and we have Sonnet 4, which is the everyday use sort of model. And according to Anthropic's official announcement, which we'll get to in a second, this is all about setting new standards for coding, new standards for advanced reasoning, and new standard for AI agents. And this is a big headline. So this claims that Claude Opus 4 is the world's best coding model. It is a bold statement, especially with all the competition from OpenAI, from Google. But what is really interesting is how Anthropic is positioning this. They're showing real people using Claude in their actual workflows. So if we look at the demo that they have over here, which is on this page right here, so it's at anthropic.com/news/Claude-4, we get this video. Where are we? Right here, right? So we get three different people that are using Claude in their everyday sort of work at Anthropic. And yeah, we'll have a look at this all in a second. So in this video, we get Maggie, right? Research education. And she's a product manager at Anthropic, using Claude to organize her entire workday, from analyzing emails and calendar appointments to conducting literature reviews and building web applications. And in her case, it's not just about benchmarks, it's about practical, everyday productivity. So I guess the question is, what makes Claude special? And it is these hybrid models that can give this near instant response for simple tasks, or simply switch to extended thinking mode for complex problems. And this is what I mean, and this is what it looks like. If we go back to Claude, let's just go back here. The model selection allows you to go choose Sonnet 4, right? But according to them, if you just give it a complex prompt, it will then switch automatically. So let's have a look here. So as you can see here, Claude, Opus 4, and Sonnet are hybrid models offering two modes: near instant responses and extended thinking for deeper reasoning, which is pretty insane that we get this at the same price as the previous models, which we will get to in a second. So what does that actually mean in practical terms? This means that, first of all, these tools can use extended thinking. So whilst reasoning through a problem, Claude can search the web, it can access your Google Drive, it can also connect to your different project management tools like Asana. And this is the example that is used in the video that I showed you. So what we could do here is allow Claude to connect to different tabs. So it can connect to GitHub, Google Drive, email, calendar. So by default, Anthropic does not train our models on your data. You can control your data and disconnect integrations anytime. And even with GitHub connection, this opens up quite a bit of interesting possibilities in terms of coding, right? Which is a big focus of many of the users that Claude has. But I guess the game-changing thing would be the parallel tool usage. So while other models use tools one at a time, Claude can now fire multiple requests simultaneously. So in the demo, we see Claude simultaneously searching through Google Workspace, pulling calendar data, and organizing Asana tasks into a single coherent report. And I think that is pretty much where this is all going. Having one single tool that, as you can see right here, can check high priority Gmail messages, it can check Google Drive, it can check Asana tasks, and then it creates this report, highest priority tasks and events for today. So I think that's pretty impressive. There's also the memory capabilities, which I think are also quite interesting. Essentially, Claude Opus 4 specifically can create and it can maintain memory files when given access to local files. And this enables truly long-running tasks that can span hours while maintaining context. So if we search for memory here, we get this. In addition to extended thinking with tool use, parallel tool execution, and memory improvements. So let's go back up here. New model capabilities. Both models can use tools in parallel, follow instructions more precisely, and when given access to local files, demonstrate significantly improved memory capabilities, extracting and saving key facts to maintain continuity and build tacit knowledge over time. So that is the official, I guess, output from Anthropic. Now, when it comes to the real world workflow integration, what I want to show you is how this sort of integration that we saw in Anthropic's demo can be used to organize my day similar to how Maggie used it. So if we just go to Claude, I'm going to give it access to my calendar right here. So I'll just give it access right here. And what I'm going to do is just ask it, can you tell me what's on my calendar today? Okay, so for some reason, this is saying I don't have access to your calendar. But if we just go back here, let's see, this is connected. So let's try this once more. Can you tell me what's in my calendar today? Okay, so the first, it doesn't seem to be working as expected in the sense that this should have access right here. So maybe expectation versus reality is a bit different when it comes to this so far. However, I would think that this is just something that maybe some sort of thing that is not happening at the beginning, whilst this is just in its initial couple of days. So let's try with Claude Opus, see if that could work. Can you tell me what's on my calendar today? Okay, so here we get the same thing, just a different message, but yeah. So that doesn't seem to be working as expected. It is connected right here, but it's not giving me calendar inputs. So I guess one difference between the expectation and the reality. However, I guess once that it starts working well, you get Gmail, you get Google Drive, you get GitHub, and overall you can also connect to MCP servers as well. So if you're using this to connect to something like NA10, you can also include pretty much anything that has an API and you can connect directly to that. So things like saying, help me organize my day by analyzing upcoming tasks, things like create a priority list, things like I have a video to record, I have several emails to respond to, and the project deadline approaching. Give me ideas on how to best organize my day. I think this could all be stuff that we get to play around with very soon when it comes to Claude right here. And I think this kind of task orchestration is exactly what will be happening and what we saw in the demo. So Claude will understand the context, it will help structure complex workflows and make our days even easier, I guess, or the organization part of them at the very least. Now, with that said, let's look at the official performance numbers. When it comes to this article right here, if we look at the SWE bench, here it says Claude Opus 4 is our most powerful model and the best coding model in the world, leading on the SWE bench and terminal bench. It delivers sustained performance on long-running tasks that require focused efforts and thousands of steps, with the ability to work continuously for several hours, dramatically outperforming all Sonnet models and significantly expanding what AI agents can accomplish. So it also mentions cursor here, it mentions Replit reports, and a bunch of other, I guess, nerdy stuff, right? GitHub says Claude 4 Sonnet source in agentic scenarios and will introduce it as the model powering the new coding agent in GitHub Copilot, which is pretty interesting as well. Manus highlights its improvements in following complex instructions, and there's a bunch of other sources right here. And if we look at the official chart when it comes to this SWE bench, we get Opus 4, Sonnet 4, Claude 3.7. We get OpenAI Codex 1, which is slightly better than Sonnet 3.7. And then there's O3, GPT 4.1, and Gemini Pro. So benchmark-wise, Claude 4 models are leading on this SWE bench when it comes to performance on real software engineering tasks. So if you're into the whole numbers, I think this is pretty interesting to take note of. And yeah, having this 72% sort of 70 or 70% plus sort of benchmarks. What is remarkable, I think, is that Sonnet 4 outperforms Opus 4 on this as well. So even though Opus 4 should be the better model, this seems to be outperforming, Sonnet 4 seems to be outperforming Opus as well. And yeah, I'm very interested to see where this is going, especially with things like the ability to use Claude for coding in terminal and all that. So there's a lot that can be done right now. Now, let's speak about extended thinking with research capabilities, because I think this is one of the most powerful demonstrations that were given in the video, where Maggie was using Claude for academic research. And what I want to do is test this capability. So if I go here and I flip on this extended thinking, I can pick a style if I want. I can flip on calendar search, which might be, now that I think about it, this might be why that wasn't working, even though this is connected. So let's just try this once more. Can you tell me what's on my calendar today? Okay, so that was the main reason why that wasn't working. Yeah, so I have a meeting. Great. Okay, so yeah, that was the only thing that I had to do. So once we have all the information there, then it makes sense that we are able to get this to organize our day as well. So pretty interesting right there. But if we flip back to extended thinking right here, flip off calendar, you can also connect Google Search and Drive. We can enable web search. And let's go with extended thinking. And what I want to say is something along the lines of conduct a literature review on the impact of AI coding assistants on the world right now. And I don't know, maybe what could be interesting is to say something along the lines of focus on the productivity aspect. Think of papers, academic research, and analyze the top results. Obviously, you can go as deep with that as you want. What I want is to see what this does. So let's flip this on. And if I had to compare this, I think this would be similar to OpenAI's O1 sort of research. What I want to see is if this is actually that sort of, or whether the output is as comprehensive as that, because that tends to give quite a bit of like a large document with the research that it does. So I'm curious about this as well. So here it's looking at AI coding assistance, productivity research papers, 24-25. I'm getting some initial results. GitHub Copilot developer productivity academic study research. Good. Fetch that. Good. Microsoft research papers. Systematic reviews. Empirical study AI coding assistant. So it is finding a bunch of very related sort of papers. So let's see what this will do. So now it will conduct a comprehensive literature review on AI coding assistants. So it does seem to be going much deeper than it was able to go and research before. So it's comparing that, starting with an executive summary, introduction, methodology, key findings, multidimensional productivity impacts, code quality concerns, Okay. Recommendations for practice, conclusion. So here we can see that there's a 25 to 55% improvement in task completion speeds. However, this productivity gain comes with important caveats around code quality, maintainability, and technical debt. Okay, cool. And if we look at the word count here, we got an easy 1.2K article about this, which isn't as long, I guess, as the specific information you would get from OpenAI with deep research, but that does take a long time as well. So this is much faster than that. We get the key research highlights as well with the bottom line. We get the sources right here as well, and key recommendations at the end. So quite a lot that you could do with that. You could expand on it. You could dive into specific sections. There's a lot that you could do. Now, let's compare Opus 4 versus Sonnet 4, because both models directly within the interface can or should technically produce different results. And what I would be expecting is that the Opus model gives sort of more detailed answers based on the same prompt. So here, let's just turn off extended thinking. In this, let's go with Opus, and the other, let's leave as Sonnet. And what if we say something along the lines of, let's see, design and implement an architecture for an e-commerce platform, includes service discovery, load balancing, and consistency strategy. So I would say that's quite a bit of an advanced sort of thing, right? So let me just paste that in there, and let's see what we get right here. So I'll design a comprehensive microservices architecture for an e-commerce platform with service discovery, load balancing, and consistency strategies. And here we have the same thing. So this is Sonnet, this is Opus. So this is designing the different services. Giving us the implementation. Client-side discovery, load balancing. So to be honest, both of them are going into quite a bit of detail, which is great. What I want to do though is, let's say that I go to OpenAI, right? Let's go to ChatGPT. And once this finishes, what I want to do is just give it the outputs from both models and ask it to compare. I'm going to give you two outputs from different large language models. What I want you to do is compare the two and give me your thoughts on the similarities and differences between the two models. Okay, that didn't seem to quite work, but let's try again. I'm going to give you the inputs from two separate large language models. What I want you to do is analyze the two inputs, give me the similarities and differences between the two models, and recommend which one I should move forward with in the future. This is Model A's inputs. This is Model B's inputs. So let's say Model A is this, right? Which is the Opus, which is the supposedly better model. And then we have Models B, which is Sonnet. Let's go here. Let's leave this as 4.0 and let's hit enter. Here are the key similarities and differences in their technical choices, emphasis and clarity. Here's the detailed comparison. Okay, key similarities. So we have all that. Key differences. Model A is detailed, heavily annotated, code rich. Model B is structured, diagram supported, concise. Very granular, high level. Uses YAML, emphasizes event sourcing. Examples include distributed locks. Okay. Optional, central, brief mention. Mentioned in metrics, defined as that. Okay. Okay. What does that mean? Recommendations. Choose Model A if you're working with a Java Spring tech stack. Your organization demands deep documentation. Okay. You prioritize planning clarity, phase delivery, and measurable success metrics. Choose Model B if you value readability, Model A sync design, and CI/CD first thinking. You prefer lean architecture reviews with clean diagrams over verbose documentation. So final verdict is Model A is more production hardened. Model B excels in conceptual agility and is a better fit for fast moving teams experimenting with event sourcing. So pretty interesting sort of comparison in terms of what I guess the strengths and weaknesses or the strengths of both models. So I think that's a thing to keep in mind in terms of which model to best use in which situation. You could obviously also use both and then take the best of both. So I think while both provide comprehensive answers, Opus 4 tends to be more thorough in considering edge cases and long-term scalability, while Sonnet 4 focuses on the practical implementation details. So for most developers, I think Sonnet 4 and its approach might actually be more actionable. What I want to do now is speak about the GitHub integration, because this is, I think, a great thing because it allows you to essentially tag Claude code and the requests and responses it makes. And you'll be able to see the different feedback as you are building different applications. And this could, I think, fundamentally change how we handle code reviews and continuous integration. So something that I think we should look more into. And the easiest way to get started with this is just to enable that integration as we saw right here. So you can connect apps, you can connect GitHub, and then you can use Claude Code on your local PC in order to, or on your Mac to make the coding process that much easier. One thing that is also important is the pricing structure, because essentially it remains as it was before. So Claude Opus 4, we just go back here and search for pricing. It says that the pricing remains consistent with previous Opus and Sonnet models. Opus 4 at $15, $75 per million tokens input output, and Sonnet 4 at $3.15 input output. So quite a big difference. There's like a 5 times sort of difference between the two. And I think it depends what you're obviously trying to do, as we saw in the previous examples. But if the output from Claude Sonnet is is what you are after, I think given the performance that we have seen, Sonnet offers exceptional value. Maybe the slight performance advantage of Opus 4 is definitely there, but it may not justify the 5x cost increase for most use cases. And I think that's one thing to consider. There's the memory capabilities as well, we spoke about that, which enable truly long-running tasks. And one thing I wanted to mention is that in the demo, we saw Claude maintain context across multiple tools and extended work sessions. So I think this addresses one of the biggest limitations of previous AI assistants. And yeah, I think so far this is what we have about the two models. I think we're in a very interesting time in terms of what these can do. So my question to you is, what do you think of Claude 4? Have you tried the Sonnet and the Opus version, and what are your thoughts on that? And how are you using these in your everyday professional life or even personal life, since it can connect to different calendars and all that? So let me know in the comments below. And in the meantime, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. And I'll speak to you very, very soon. Cheers.